These are the men and women of Beaver Valley, the bravest of the brave. They fought fearlessly for their country, their city, their community, and for the ideals we share as Americans. They served proudly in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Here now are their stories, their own experiences in their own words, the words of the heroes of Beaver Valley. The Vietnam War was raging as Ambridge native Ron Heitzenrater completed high school in 1969. 4 days after his graduation, he enlisted in the Marines and was on his way to boot camp at Parris Island. Heitzenrater would end up going overseas to Okinawa, Japan, where he would serve as a military police officer.
Like I said, when we did town patrol, there was always two of us, walked the beat. We had a 4-block area that was our area that we covered, got into quite a few bar fights with the Marines there, young kids, and they were all drinking a lot, I remember quite a few bar fights I got into.
Heitzenrater also served as a prison guard, watching over American military men who had committed crimes ranging from theft to murder.
It was an experience, to realize it was a good-sized prison. We had like 4, they call them squad bays with prisoners, and there was open squad bays, but they each had maybe 50 prisoners in each.
After serving 6 years, Heitzenrater returned home in 1975. He went to work as an Economy Borough police officer, where he served for 30 years. He also joined the Pennsylvania Air National Guard and was sent overseas as part of the Gulf War.
I was in England for almost a month. I worked night shift over there, refueling the planes and everything. Well, getting them ready to fly, and they would fly their missions and come back. And then we got transferred to Sigonella, and I spent the last 2 months in Sigonella, Italy.
Still, Heitzenrater's military service wasn't over. Upon the start of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, he volunteered to serve once again.
So I volunteered to go to Iraq 3 different times, and then I went to Afghanistan once. And in Iraq, I was was in charge of transient alert, all the aircraft that come in, and we would bring them in, park them, and call for fuel and maintenance and stuff for them like that. And then, especially my first tour was in Baghdad, and I worked night shift there, was the supervisor there, and they had a lot of prisoners coming in there, a lot of Iraqi prisoners coming in on the base there. Then the next tour was in Balad Air Force Base in Iraq. Well, I did 2 tours there. We averaged, in fact, like 75 planes a day were coming in and out of there.
Maintaining his position in transient alert, he also volunteered at the base hospital.
And I ended up with 1,118 hours in a volunteer at the emergency room. I saw a lot of things there. I can't say enough about the doctors and nurses there, what they did. We had a survival rate. If you came in there and to that emergency room there, you had a 98.7% survival rate. We treated all branches of the service. We treated Iraqis, even treated canines, the working dogs. Well, just something extra to do, to help kill the time. I would average maybe 6 hours a day, then go back to my room just to help me sleep at night. I remember the one soldier to come in. He was hit with an IED. He lost his left leg below the knee, the right leg above the knee, then the left arm above the elbow, and one eye. And then they worked on him in the operating room. They worked on him for almost 10 hours in the operating room. They brought him out of there, got him stabilized. The next day, they medevaced him to launch stools. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, the family sent a letter to the hospital there, thanking everybody for what they did for their son, and he was still living. He had high hopes and everything.
Though there were serious moments in Heitzenrater's military service, there were also some lighter ones.
When we were in Baghdad, because my title and I had access to a lot of other places where nobody was allowed at it. So I took all the guys with me, and we went to the palaces that he built. One was headquarters, and then the one that I remember distinctly, they bombed it. It was called he called it the Victory Over America Palace. He built it because he said that's where he's going to be and live after annihilated the Americans. Well, they bombed the hell out of it. The whole back end, it was all gone.
Having served in 4 wars, Heitzenrater notices the differences in the way soldiers are treated by the public. Upon his return from Vietnam, the public wasn't friendly.
The biggest thing is the respect. When I come back from overseas the first time into California, I was ashamed of, how the people treated us, the soldiers and so on, calling us every name in the book and stuff like that. However,
His return from Iraq provided him with a much different welcoming.
the one time, it was when my last grandson was born, so I was the one in bed sleeping. I was talking to the flight crew and stuff, like I says, he was just born when I left, okay, and I come back and say he's going to be here. I haven't seen him in over a year. They announced on the plane as we were landing in Pittsburgh, we have one special passenger here that hasn't seen his grandson yet, and please wait till he gets off the plane first. And I'm looking around, and then they announced my name on it, and it made me feel good, but then, I started to cry. And I was walking off the plane. As I was walking off the plane, everybody was clapping and stuff like that. And then when I come out to the gate, everybody at the gate right there was standing there clapping, and there they were all there. My grandsons, all standing there waiting for me. But yeah, the people now are more respectful and behind the people from what I see and what I feel. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. They'd ask me, I'd go tomorrow.